A little bit of a different event here for Jacko Car. It is going to be a test race around the Silverstone circuit, the British Grand Prix. We are getting ready here. My name is Austin Smith, and I welcome you to this. Alongside me is the league owner, the one and only Jacko. Jacko, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, thank you. I'm still trying to dry out from last night's wet weather race in Austria. It was torrential. I don't know if you saw it, but 5 safety cars, all 5 of them because of the rain. It was just tremendous. But yeah,
I've heard about it.
A bit dry.
I've heard about it. There was a little bit of a flashback for some of the drivers. I heard Jess afterwards complain about it because she had that experience before at F1 2019 on a race where myself alongside Kieran McGinley controlled the weather. It was a charity event, and so we had the same thing happen there. So, but only once, not 5 times. So she said she was familiar, but she complained to me a little bit about it. But complaining maybe takes it a little bit too far. But yeah, I think maybe there can't be a worse track to try and dry out from a wet race than the British Grand Prix. And as I say that, would you look at that? We are in the wet once again, so I hope you have your umbrella with you.
You know what? I left it on the plane coming back from Austria.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
But what we'll do though, I'll try and get a weather report from one of the drivers and see if it's at least dry for the race.
All right. Meanwhile, to maybe explain the format a little bit to viewers who haven't seen this before, we are doing effectively a one-shot qualifying just spread out over 18 minutes. So every driver has a time slot allocated to them, at which point they are supposed to go out of the pit lane and then start their lap accordingly. The first one is going to be Indecisive Mac at exactly the 17-minute mark, which is right now, and we see a little bit of a little bit of action going on there at the pit lane, and he is coming out indeed. So he'll be the first one. He does have a little bit of time there to have the track mostly to himself. It's going to be 1.5 minutes until we have the next one, which is Frenagamur, if I'm correct.
Frenagama, we spoke about this, me and Owen, a lot last season. It's a Dutch-inspired name from one of the Dutch DJs, apparently, but I wouldn't know. I'm not too into my Dutch DJs. How about you?
No, it's just not the sort of music I'm listening to in my free time. But to each their own. He takes it very slow here on the outlap, trying to get a feel for the conditions, I think. This certainly doesn't look like he's raring to go, let's say. This is more, well, let's dip a toe into the literal water and see how warm or cold it is. And yeah, one thing that is going to be important, obviously, for the drivers is to get the tires up to temperature, especially in these conditions. Even the full wet tire does require a little bit of temperature to actually properly work. So we'll see how good of a job the drivers do with that. From experience, since you've probably raced around this track and many others plenty of times, how important would you consider the tire warming on this one lap, on this one out lap, to be?
That's a very technical question for somebody who runs a league. Because I don't really know. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I leave the driving to the drivers. I retired at the end of TGP's last TGP2 season a few months ago now, so I kind of forgotten about all of that. I leave these guys up to it. As Matt comes round to start his flying lap, it's going to be awfully slow because of the weather, and I think some of the drivers are telling me it's going to be wet in the race as well.
So really no break for you or the drivers here in terms of the weather.
No.
But let's see, we're going through the first couple of corners here. through turn 4, and this is where it's important to get a good acceleration out of the corner here, really. And seems like Mac is definitely struggling with the conditions now. Down the Wellington Straight, and then into Brooklands and Luffield. Oh, you can see how much he's working with the car. He's sliding about and almost loses it there. Goes way too deep into Luffield, but might set him up for the ensuing straight here. Good acceleration out of there.
Of course, all eyes on Matt at the moment. Only car out on track. I think Pro-Opa has started his outlap.
Yes.
But this is where, going into the season, there's going to be a lot of pressure on these drivers to get it right. Me and Luke were saying this last night, particularly the last 2 or 3 drivers out on track to do their laps. It's going to be all eyes on them, and if there's going to be something on the line, playoff places or a championship, then it's going to add that extra bit of pressure. You're going to see more invalidations. Really excited to see this qualifying session in anger.
Yeah, now through Stowe. Tricky corner in the wetness, and we see it right there as he loses the back end. And now towards the club section here. Vale first, then the club section. My apologies. And round the... Oh, yeah, another slide there. So a lot of wet spots, it seems, that really catch him out. And he comes across the lines to set a 1:48.7. Now... what that means, we'll only find out later on as the drivers set their lap times whether that 48.7 is a good lap time or not. Frenagamu now probably butchered that name again. Now out.
It was better.
Okay, good. Thank goodness. As he now heads towards Cobb's Corner, trying to stay within the white lines as he does fantastically that. And probably one of the trickiest parts of the track now coming up in the wet for sure. Maggot's back to the chapel. You want to maximize the track limits here as much as you are allowed to, really. But in the wet with the car sliding about left, right, and center, it's getting really tricky. And it's easy to just misjudge that corner slightly and therefore completely ruin your lap. Frenagamu did not do that. He instead seemed to be very neat and tidy through that section as he now comes through club, and that looks to be a much better time there. And it indeed is by just under 8 seconds. He beats Indecisive Mac here. And let's see, who's the next one on track? It is Corey.
Now, Corey, you would expect to go fastest. The reason why he won't have a race seat is because he simply is the fastest. But he really wants to race in the league, so I've let him be a reserve again for Season 2. So do expect this to be a faster lap time than what we've already seen so far.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the Sector 2 time once we get it on the exit of Chapel. Still a little bit to go there as he comes through Cops, and again, very neat and tidy. We saw a lot of sliding about with Mac, not so much from Frenagamu. And again, Corey here also very, very calm, cool, and collected, if you will. Second sector split, 1 minute 10.5. Unfortunately, we don't get a comparison, but we do get a purple sector from him in Sector 2 after already getting a purple Sector 1. We don't know by how much, unfortunately. Wish the game would give us that. It unfortunately doesn't, but here we are coming through the final couple corners, and for him it is going to be... oh, this looks like a really good lap. Wow.
Yes, it does.
1 minute 37 distances Frenagamu by another 3.55 seconds here. Wow. Okay, that is a statement and a half already. Next is...
fast, didn't I?
yeah, you did. You really did. Next up is Speed Newgarden. We also have Speed Iceman out on track right now. Iceman, I think... it's hard to tell. There's so many white dots on the map. It's hard to tell which one he is. We also have Kyle now starting a lap. But we're obviously going to stay with the one who is the deepest into his lap. That is Speed Newgarden right here as he heads to Stowe. And
is the rain getting heavier? Looking at that,
it does look a bit like it, doesn't it? Yeah, that would certainly make it difficult for the drivers to come.
I think we might have already seen our pole lap because the camera looking back at Newgarden down the back of the the hangar straight there was a lot darker. It's much similar to how Austria was last night on lap 5. It was a lot darker. Look at the rain now on board with Newgarden.
Well, I'm on board
It's
here with Iceman now, and yeah, it does look a lot heavier. Then again, they've all been on the full wets to begin with, so it might be that it doesn't make that much of a difference, as Iceman, we can see here, runs out of ERS towards the end of his lap, and now starts to slide about a bit as well. Can he beat Frenagamu's time? No, he cannot. P3 for him right now. Next, we have ART Kyle.
Yesterday's pole setup was Kyle.
Yeah, and he is already 2.5 seconds down in the middle sector on Corey, 1 minute 13.0. So if he continues that would... Oh, this is going to get really close with Frenagamu then. If he loses another 1.25 seconds, he's probably going to be just behind. But if he gets a good final sector, there is a chance. 140.9 to beat, and he doesn't lose as much in the final sector, gets at least up to P2. Now we are heading over to Dom Smith,
the owner of TGP. First event in a non-TGP event for Dom.
And I gotta say, I just saw the number on his car, number 93. Being someone who was born in 93 himself, I gotta respect that. As he is heading towards Chapel here. Oh, really struggling with the car there. Time gap to Corey is 5.6 seconds already. So that right now would put him behind Speed Newgarden and ahead of Indecisive Mac, where we have this huge gap of 7.2 seconds there. Let me quickly switch this to leader right there. I think this looks fantastic. As he now comes to the... So this will probably be a P6 as of right now for him, as he also runs out of ERS. And indeed it is 7.5 seconds the gap to the lead. And now Baza, that is Sector 1, 32.3. Sector 2...
I think he's invalidated the whole track.
Oh yes, he has. Yes, so that means he will start from the back of the grid. So for him...
So
very unfortunate.
MK Bourne then. What's MK Bourne up to?
Yeah, good question. First sector actually not too bad. 31.7. That is a decent lap time right there, or a decent sector time right there, I should say, for the first sector. Now through Cops, and again, you can see really how fast the drivers are by how tidy and how straightened up the car is, and how little drama there is to the cars, really. The less drama you see from these cars, the better the lap time. And for him, it is right now 2.9 seconds behind Corey. Corey, really, I mean, that is a lap and a half. That is absolutely amazing to see. But MK Bourne, 2.9 seconds behind. He's probably challenging Speed Iceman for P4, maybe Speed Newgarden for P5. That's most likely where he's going to end up. We'll see. As he comes across the line, 141.1, just ahead of the two of them. So, good guessing there for me. I'm going to pat myself on the back for that. Yeah, thank you.
So, next up in the two-car. Two-time rally champion.
I love the gold livery, I gotta say. That looks fantastic. Is that the Michael Schumacher livery? Or
it is. That's what happens when you pay an extra £10. You get that.
Yeah. One of those. You get multiple. You get like 5, I think, but that is one of them.
So. I wouldn't know. I didn't buy it.
Well, I did because I wanted to play it 3 days early, and I think it's 5 liveries that you get. Plus, I think 5 different suits as well, and a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, the cars, the old Schumacher cars, the Jordan, the 2 Benettons, and the Ferrari. But he comes now through the final sector. I didn't see what his sector times were, unfortunately. Didn't pay attention to that. We got a little carried away there. But we'll see. Oh, almost looked like he was sliding a bit there, yeah. And certainly losing some time there to Corey. And it is P8. Even losing time to Dom there. And down to P8 he goes now. Whiteout
has invalidated as well. Yeah. So we go straight to OKK.
Exactly. There he is. Yeah, has a driver right behind him. I don't know who that is behind him. That could be TC? I reckon.
Possibly.
Yeah, it looks like
Still
TC.
Chris. But they've backed off to give OKK space on his flying lap.
Yeah.
Out of Cops he goes, into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Of course, OKK was the inaugural race winner last season. A shock win. I don't think he'll be too offended if I say that. But did then later on get a podium in Japan. P2, great result for him.
Yeah, for him, 4.7 seconds here in the middle sector behind Corey, so probably ending up in P7 ahead of Dom and behind Newgarden, unless he makes a huge mistake here, or somehow finds more time than Corey did in that final sector, which also seems rather unlikely considering that lap time from Corey, 1:37.3, which is just... This is a Hamilton-esque dominance, I gotta say. But Okiki with a really good final sector only lost about half a second to Corey. I mean, that has to be applauded in and of itself. Really made that final sector work. Didn't really change much in terms of the expected position. P7 it is, but either way, I mean, gotta say this was a good final sector for him at least. As we now have Risky here in a lot of red and black. I was about to say red and blue. Obviously, the blue's only on the tires. Purple in the middle sector. I think that might be a mistake because he is just over 2 seconds down. But this could be a new P2 right here if he gets this final sector right. And, oh, look at that line. That's almost eSports line right there. As he now gets towards Vale and Club. Final couple of corners. And... not too early on the throttle and very hesitant on the throttle as well. Loses himself a bit of time, but it is still P2 by the skin of his teeth, really. Wow.
If we ignore Corey's time, that had displaced Kyle of pole. That's a good lap from Risky.
Yeah. Moving on to TC now.
Yeah.
He also a little bit cautious there, but 2.7. Yeah, I'm not sure it's actually purple. I think that might be a...
Is that a Codemasters glitch, is it?
Yeah, it might be a Codemasters glitch. But 2.7 down on Corey. This might still be a really good lap. I think he's challenging for top 4 here. Maybe definitely top 5. Probably ahead of MK Born, unless, again, the final sector goes completely awry, which it doesn't seem like it does, and it is P4, so just beats out Franagamu there for 4th place as of right now. Next up is Chris.
Chris isn't in the lobby.
Chris isn't here, so then it's Dexter. Yep. He's on a lap right now. He's using the Etched livery. That is the name. I only remember that because I saw that a couple of times with the default color scheme, and I thought, yeah, I'm not going to use that. But he made it work, honestly. This looks a lot better than the default scheme. And looks like a really nice livery all of a sudden. As he now makes his way to Maggots Beckett's chat. We see a lot of the second part of the lap, really. We don't see that much of Wellington Straight, Brooklands and Luffield with these drivers because it is really... it goes one by one by one. It's very quick here. 1:15.1 for him, so that is...
We're always getting some action. I think that's what's important about this, yeah.
Yeah, 4.6 seconds down on Corey after the middle sector, so he's probably going to end up in P10 behind Okiki, ahead of Dom Smith. Depending on how that final sector goes, this might go up or down a bit. We remember Okiki was pretty good in this final sector, so this might end up... Yeah, there you go. And Okiki, I think, gained the whole 3.5 tenths that he is ahead of Dexter in that final sector, so that tells you how good that was. And then we have now Arnaud and then Paul McGuinness, the last two drivers here. And this looks like a... I gotta say, this livery looks like it's winter. And I don't mean winter testing, I mean, you know, winter inspired with the colors. Yeah, this makes me feel really cold, which isn't too bad, honestly. But he goes P2. Oh yeah, wow. 2 tenths. How? I mean,
eyes on Paul then, because he's tipped to be champion this season.
Yeah, 3 seconds ahead of Risky. Paul McGuinness is the only one to beat him. And, sliding there through Stowe. That's not what you want to see. Runs out of ERS before Vale. That is definitely going to hurt him here in the final sector. Coming around. And ultimately, it is going to be P3. What a lap. A little bit of drama there in the final sector, but half a second faster than Risky. Then again, 2.5 seconds behind Arnaud and 2.7 behind Corey. But we have our top 3. In fact, we have a full grid with Whiteout and Baza being the only 2 drivers who have invalidated their laps, so they will start from the back of the grid, P16 and 17 respectively. But it is Corey 44 on pole position for this test race.
Good lap from Corey, but almost matched by Arnaud actually. Last night's race winner putting in a cracking lap, trying to stake his name to be a championship contender once again. Obviously Arnaud well remembered for his implosion in the playoffs last season, a 29-point swing.
Oh wow.
Definitely didn't mention that last night either.
You have to rub it in, huh?
Absolutely. In your Twitter DMs, I've just sent you the forecast for the race.
I just saw it.
What do you make of that?
It's well, it makes it interesting because from experience and from, you know, preparing for all the commentaries I've done, the full wet tire has about the same durability as the hard tire. So it can go a very long way into the race. Which it might have to, depending on when that change to dry happens. However, at the same time, from what I've seen from Codemasters, when it says, oh yeah, it's still raining in 20 minutes, and then in 45 minutes it isn't, I've had races in my team at, you know, the new career mode, and even on F1 2019 on the old driver career, I had races where it said in 20 minutes it's still going to rain, and then all of a sudden, 10 laps into the race, rain was gone and dry tires were the best. So it might be that we get the dry running sooner rather than later. But here's the full grid. As you can see, the top 14 on screen right now. We're going to scroll down at the 15-second mark so you can see P15 to 17 as well. There we go. Indecisive Mac, Whiteout, and Baza down there, with Whiteout and Baza invalidating their laps.
The only 2 to invalidate tonight as well. Last night we had 6 or 7 of them do it. So
well, I think
drivers...
I think it needs to be said that last night was Austria. Austria is about the easiest track to cut at any point. Turn 1, turn 3. And even turn 4, if you run a little bit too wide, all 4 wheels on the curb, that's an invalidation. Make that turn 6 as well, turn 7, turn 9, and turn 10. There's
turn 10's the one for me. I cannot get it right.
8 out of 10 corners on this track can be cut in some way. The only ones who really can't are turn 2, which isn't actually a corner, really. I mean, it is on bikes, but not in cars. And maybe turn 7 or 8 or whichever it is. That's quite tricky as well to cut that one. But apart from that, you could really, Austria is painful in terms of penalties. Britain, I mean, where can you cut here? Turn 1, not really. I mean, it takes skill to cut there. You can, but I mean, it's tricky. Turn 2, turn 3, not really. I mean, you can, but it's much easier with the flow of the track and everything to not invalidate here than it is around Austria. So I'm not surprised that it was 6 last night and it has come down to 2. But hold on. Let's look at the tires. We are on intermediates now. So this already tells me that we are not in as treacherous conditions as we were in qualifying. So that's certainly helpful probably for some of the drivers, considering how much we saw them struggle in the heavy rain conditions. But let me quickly go on board here with Corey, our pole sitter. It is still raining. I almost thought, when I looked at it from the outside, it almost looked like it's not raining anymore. But once you go on board, you see, no, raindrops are definitely still coming down. However,
not too bad though, is it?
Yeah, it's not too much. There's not not that much standing water on the track. There's not that much coming down. And we know that it's going to end at some point in this race, considering the race is probably going to be around 45 minutes long, 26 laps, as you can see in the top left, rather. So we'll see how that goes. But let me quickly switch this. There we go. As the drivers now get ready for the race, they're heading towards the grid for the start, trying to, and something that's much more important this year than last year is you want to warm up your tires still. That didn't change, but you don't want to get too much wear into those tires, because now on F1 2020 there is tire wear on the formation lap. We didn't have that last year. That is new, and that is something the drivers are going to have to contend with.
And it'll certainly stop a few of those drivers who like to burn out the tyres as much as possible to get as much heat in as they could, so that we have to watch that as well. But anyway, predictions. What do you think, Austin? Where's this one going to go?
I mean, if Corey and Arnaud don't drive away with this off into the distance, I'd be very surprised. But the drivers get ready, and we have the 5 red lights. And we are underway for this test race here at the British Grand Prix. And in the back, someone already trying to move out of the way there. And we have Corey with a good start, staying in the lead. A lot of changes there. We have the pit stop strategy as well. A 1-stop and 2-stop. I don't think that's going to happen. Because we will have dry...
mandatory 2-stop, don't forget, in Jacko Cup.
Yeah, we will have dry running at some point. So I don't think we're going to see a 1-stop inters to inters. As Corey tried to pull away from the rest of the group there. You can see the field spread already after a couple of corners, after just one sector. It's already 7.5 seconds there between first and last. So drivers really taking it cautiously. Couple changes, actually. We see Kyle made it past Risky. And we see Frenagamu dropped a whole lot of position. So did TC. What happened to him here? Yep, that is front wing damage on the left side of TC's car. On the front wing, left side end plate completely gone. The wing itself is there, but the end plate is not. He drops down further and further. 10 positions lost since the start of the race. We have MK Born now getting past Risky through Cops and into Maggots Beckett's Chapel as he moves up to P5. The top 3 haven't changed. Apart from that, there's no driver in the same position that he started in, as Risky loses more positions now. What has happened to him?
Front wing damage. He had contact with Kyle down the Wellington Straight.
Yeah, and again you can see a left side end plate. Once again, same thing for TC, also for Risky here. Does he go into the pits? Yes, he does. Lap 1 pit stop for Risky. One thing to mention about this pit lane, it is about the longest pit lane on the calendar. It loses you in dry conditions about 26 seconds, which is more than you get at any other track. And TC also coming in to get their front wings changed. We have a yellow flag in Sector 3. That is, I don't know who that was for. Indecisive Mac, maybe? I think so.
Hey, don't know. He's still going.
Yeah, he was at the time, he was the only one in Sector 3. So I'm a bit surprised. Also, we do have... What is this now? It shows that Baza is in the lead for me now, but he clearly isn't. So thank you very much to Codemasters once again. Now it is fixed. Corey is back on top. It also says lap 3 out of 26. Shouldn't it be lap 2?
Yeah, it's gone back to lap 2 for me now. Baza's also P10.
Yeah, it hasn't gone back for me now. The positions have gone back for me. Baza is P10, Frenagamu P11, but it still says lap 3. So I'm a bit confused here as to what Codemasters is doing with us. But Corey and Arnaud, 1.1 seconds the gap. It is still fairly close, I would say, but obviously not in striking distance. Arnaud here to take the lead. However, I think, yeah, it is also stuck here at 1.1 seconds. And we're going to have to wait until they cross the line again to see what is going on here. And I hope we get... Yeah, now we're on lap 3. It stays lap 3. Arnaud with the fastest lap, actually. You see now, the gap is 4 tenths. Yeah, it looked much smaller than 1 second. and it is 6/10. It does go up and down a little bit. Obviously, one thing the drivers do have to contend with this year as well is the dirty air. That wasn't really that much in the game before, but it's
what, Austin?
Yeah.
Look at Corey. He's really struggling. Arnold's starting to hound the back of him now.
Yeah, and uses a bit of overtake to get closer, but he doesn't look like he wants to overtake just yet. I think he seems fairly content to stay behind for now and wait for when the rain stops, maybe. This is something the drivers have to keep in mind, you know. They have to think about the grand picture and try to set themselves up for success at the end of the race and not at lap 4 or 5 or 3 as we're in right now. I mean, you don't get points, or you don't get anything really for leading on lap 3. You get something for leading on lap 26 at the end of lap 26. I mean, not here, this is just a test race, but you know, if this were under championship conditions, then you want to lead at the end of lap 26, not lap 3.
But funny you mention that, because the stage points returned for Season 2 as well, so at 25 and 50% race distance, the drivers will get a playoff point to add to their total for the playoff period in the calendar. Obviously, like you say, it's also a test race, so they won't get that here. But it is worth leading at certain points in the Grand Prix once we get into the racing calendar.
Well, fair enough, but we are not yet at the 25% point anyway. Right now, that would be... Ooh, what would that be? 26 divided by 4. Quick math. 13. Yeah, 7 and 13. 6.5. Does it always... is it always rounded up, or how does that work if it's on...
It is however I feel on the day.
Oh!
So sometimes
I see.
It might be 6, but you never know.
Ah, alright. But if it's 0.25, you would round down. So for example, if we had a race with 25 laps, it would be 6.25, and that would then be lap 6, right?
Yeah, I guess. There's got to be some algorithm to it, hasn't it?
Alright, I see.
We don't quite have the data that the big leagues do. It's all done manually.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, dividing by 4, I don't think is that hard. I mean, we all have calculators at this point.
I didn't do very well in school, did I? Come on.
We have calculators.
What's that?
Oh, okay. My bad. Maybe they didn't come to your parts yet. But meanwhile, now falling back a little bit. You see here, 1.2 seconds the gap. Now as Iceman overtakes MK Born here for P5. And yeah, that is a nice position gain there. Up 4 places from his grid position, which was P9. So Iceman definitely on the move here. More so than any other driver in the top 8. And Iceman, speaking of that, goes into the pits lap 5. And gets a 5-second penalty for it as well. Or really lap 4, is it? Because obviously the leaders have already crossed the line. So this is the end of lap 4. Why is he coming? Is this a front wing change?
Yes.
Oh wow.
But
MK Born as well.
With it being 2 mandatory stops, he can use this as one of his stops as well, so it's not too much of a loss for him. The 5-second penalty, well, that's his own fault.
Yeah, he's going to have to serve that at the second pit stop then.
Yeah.
But some drivers then electing to hold their first pit stop of the 2 mandatory ones in the wet. So they want to capitalize later on. I don't think it's that... I think it's a smart move, honestly. Because, think about it. You lose 26 seconds in this pit lane in the dry. Now, your speed in the pit lane doesn't change whether it's raining or not. But the other drivers are certainly slower out on track. So you lose less time from a pit stop in the wet than you do from a pit stop in the dry. So maybe this is a really, really smart call here to, make sure that the front wing that was on your car that was damaged, switch that out, get a new one, so you can set good lap times again. And you don't lose as much time from that front wing change because the whole pit stop doesn't take as long. Really, really interesting strategic thinking here from some of the drivers. Let's see how the ones without front wing damage approach this. We have Kyle really in a world of his own, 2.5 seconds to Arno and Corey, as Arno is looking very feisty here. And then 8.6 seconds the gap between Kyle and Paul McGuinness in P4. So
Paul McGuinness really struggling, it seems, as well. You know, tipped to be one of the favourites for season 2, but he just maybe doesn't like wet weather, or perhaps he's got his Zandvoort set up on, which he is a big fan of.
I mean, who isn't? I mean, of everything I heard from the F1 2020 community, everyone hates Vietnam and everyone loves Zandvoort. That's what I've seen.
Paul's Zandvoort setup, is apparently better than the track itself, and he uses it everywhere.
Okay, that is interesting.
Yeah. As he's starting to be caught by Newgarden now.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, if it works, you know, who are we to judge? But yeah, 1.2 seconds, 1.1 seconds. The gap does come down a little bit. But once again, as I said, the dirty air, it is really hard to follow another car, and even more so in these conditions, to follow another car through fast corners like the combination of Maggots-Becker's Chapel here. And that certainly proves to be the case once again. Newgarden a little bit far away here for a move, almost 1 second. Also very tricky here at Stowe. You got to remember as well that the Codemasters have changed the track limits on the strict setting as Camel Babo's in. Is that once again a front wing change, or is this the tactical change that I was talking about earlier, or is this both? The tactical change of tires and the front wing change. Let's see.
Scheduled stop.
Yep. No front wing change. Just very quick in and back out. That was a really good pit stop from his crew as well. I think probably about 2.2 seconds if I had to guess. Looked very quick there.
One day Codemasters will give us the times for it, but not just yet. Maybe
yeah,
next year.
Today's not that day. They do give us that time in like when we drive, obviously, but not when we're spectating, which is very unfortunate because we have all these AWS graphics now coming into spectator mode with the pit stop strategy. But okay, well, maybe in 2021, yeah. Anyway, Camel Babo now looking to be very close here to Speed Iceman. Maybe an attempt into Brooklands. What do you think? Probably a bit.
Look at the battle for last or something.
Yeah, a bit too far away, Camel Babo there, but you would want to clear Speed Iceman quickly if you can, right? Like staying behind another driver. It works in oval racing. Oh, here he goes, I think. Using overtake. Risky is out.
Risky is out.
What has happened there? Where is he? He's on the exit of Luffield to the right side. We're on board with TC right now. Look to the right side. Oh, wow. Into the wall he went, I think.
He lost that on traction on the exit there?
Yeah. I think the only way to recreate that sort of a spot is to lose it on the exit, on traction, spin to the inside, hit the wall, and out. That's the only way I can explain this one. And so we have a first retirement of the race in Risky, who qualified in P4. So really, really high hopes, high chances here. All of a sudden, 7-8 laps into the race, it's all gone to nowhere.
And that ends a dismal 2 nights for Risky, so he'll be hoping that he gets picked by somebody in the draft tomorrow night, because that is the showing last night and the showing tonight have not been his best performances. Picked up a couple of podiums last season in the league. Could have won at Spa.
Yeah, and that's something the drivers will look at when it comes to the draft. Who can deliver when they're faced with the opportunity, and that is something that might hurt Risky's draft stock here. As now Arno takes a pit stop. He's fed up being behind Corey all this time and not being able to overtake, or not being close enough to overtake. Either way, he goes in for his probably scheduled pit stop. I didn't see him run into the back of Corey in any way. MK Bourne gets a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, there's no front wing change going on there. Scheduled pit stop, and again, that looked really quick as well, I gotta say.
They've sped up pit stops on this game as well, haven't they?
Yeah. I've seen in the My Team mode, the fastest I've seen from my pit crew was 2.1 seconds. Which I was very surprised by. I was caught off guard. I was actually not ready to get out of the pit again. And I probably lost about half a second to a second there when that happened to me. But yeah, he rejoins right in a field of cars there. Has Dexter behind and Bazza and Whiteout, the two invalidators, in front of him. And he's going to have to clear them rather quickly. We know he has the pace compared to them. But you got to dispatch of any sort of... I don't want to call him traffic because obviously it's all for position. But yeah, you've got to get by quickly.
Yeah. But credit to Bazza and Whiteout. They've done really well to come up this far.
Yeah, 10 positions each.
So Bazza has just picked up a penalty and goes wide on the exit of Cops.
That would be another warning.
Run down into the Wellington Straight. Once he gets through this complex of corners here. Goes a little bit wide
better
again.
run there. Look at that. Oh, tricky there.
Back to the inside.
Yeah.
Good defense from Bazza.
Arno wanted to get the inside there. Bazza denied him, and so Arno had to pull over last second. Still gets the move done. Doesn't get phased at all as Paul McGuinness now in the pits. Newgarden follows him in. So they're both on scheduled pit stop probably as well. Both
with 5-second penalties as well for speeding into the pit lane.
Yeah, that's something that catches these drivers out quite regularly because obviously most drivers do practice their pit entry. Let's look at Arnaud. Obviously drivers do practice the pit entry, but they always practice it in the dry. And since your braking ability in the wet isn't the same, it's hard to adjust for that. So a lot of drivers are still in this rhythm with the sort of muscle memory of the dry pit entry, and then they do it in the rain. All of a sudden they brake at the same point, but obviously they don't have the stopping power, and they just go straight on with more than the 60 kilometers an hour that are allowed, and therefore pick themselves up some 5-second penalties that they're going to have to serve at the next pit stop they have.
Yep. And to translate for our English viewers, 60 kilometers an hour is 37 miles an hour.
Yes. Look, I live in continental Europe.
I don't.
Yeah, we use kilometers an hour. So, you know.
You also drive on the wrong side of the road, I hear.
You do, yeah. Yeah, definitely. But that's a different topic for another day. Kyle, meanwhile, comes in. Again, he's running a race of his own there. He's now
catching Whiteout, by the way.
Yeah, we've been on that, but it pulled away at the very wrong moment there to show Kyle's pit entry, and Arno round the outside of Whiteout. It's not done yet, but it is done now as Whiteout decides to just take the pit entry. Okiki also with 5 seconds. I think the rain has stopped. Are we in dry conditions? Who is going to make the change onto dry tire? Oh, a couple drivers have already. Kyle, Newgarden, MK Bourne, TC and Indecisive Mac have all changed last lap onto the dry tires, and Okiki as well. Whiteout's in for a new set of inters and has to wait. Everyone holds him up now. Oh my goodness. Whiteout on the inters. Paul McGuinness on the inters as well. Dexter goes on to dries, onto the softs. Bazza goes on to softs. Oh my goodness, this is getting really interesting. Camel Bob onto mediums. Then we have Iceman getting held up here with a 5-second penalty. He goes on to mediums. And Dom Smith goes on to soft. So Whiteout may have absolutely screwed himself over. In fact, Paul McGuinness did go on to mediums. It showed intermediates for a while, but he did go on to mediums. Whiteout is now really struggling. He's losing time to Okiki in front.
It's right on the crossover. It's not quite right for inters and it's not quite right for dries.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if with everyone though, Corey comes in now. Arnaud is probably going to come in soon, and he has no more pit stops to do. Corey has to do one more. Arnaud, He's done with it. He already had one from Inters to Inters. He just needs one more. Fernagamu and TC are coming in again. That is interesting for sure. They are already on mediums.
Wing damage on TC.
Oh. Did they come together? Oh, they probably did.
Not too sure.
Yeah, Fernagamu, he's back out already. So maybe they didn't. Corey
hit the pit exit.
Oh yeah, massive damage. Massive damage on the right side. Really only the base of the wing is still there. The rest is gone on the right side. My goodness. That means Arnaud...
spinner in turn 2 as well.
Yeah, Arnaud's in the lead.
It's indecisive Matt stuck in the pit lane exit on track, struggling.
Yeah, I'm still struggling here, really, it seems. Whiteout in the pits again. This time, I think, for the softs or probably the mediums to make it to the end. Can the softs make it to the end? That's the question. He goes on to mediums. I think the runners who are on soft, if we look at that, the runners on soft are all the ones that have done one stop. So they have to come in again. And the medium runners, that is amazing. So the softs won't make it to the end. The mediums will. So the soft runners are the ones who have to pit again. The mediums, they don't.
You've got an interesting battle here, by the way. Corey, with his wing damage, is catching Arnold because Corey's on the softs and they've both got to pit onto mediums at some point.
Yeah, but he's not catching that much. It's still 4.6 seconds. In fact, Kyle is getting closer to both of them right now. Is Arnaud going to come in? I mean, he has to. Yeah, he is. Corey comes in as well. And now he has to go to the mediums. Yeah, second stop.
Kyle is really putting himself in a shop window for a race seat. With last night's performance and tonight, he's doing really well.
Yeah,
sets the fastest lap.
Yeah, it also says his pit window is now open. Lap 13 to 21 for the softs. So we might. I don't think we're going to see Kyle this lap because he just got onto the softs. I'd be very surprised if he gets rid of him after 2 laps. But yeah, so his personal pit window is now open. But then again, the strategy doesn't always work that way. But I think with him coming in at the end of lap 11, if I'm not wrong, yeah, end of lap 11, he's probably gonna come in 18 or 19 for his stop onto another set of softs. Well, that would make the most sense. Yeah, 15 laps to the end, you make 1 7-lap stint and 1 8-lap stint. So everyone on the dries now, they are the better tire. And Arnaud is now, what is that? 9 seconds ahead of Corey, who drops down all the way to P5. However, again, we can't forget, Kyle, Okiki, Newgarden, Baza, MK Bourne, and Dom Smith all have to pit again. The medium runners don't. Oh, this makes it really interesting. And once again, I said earlier, you lose about 26 seconds in the pit lane. Kyle right now is 24 seconds ahead of Arnaud. If he can just pull that gap open a little bit further. In fact, he only needs it to pull open to about 25 and a bit. Because remember, he has fastest lap right there, 35.7. He needs to open it just to about 25 and a bit. Like maybe 25.1, 25.2. Because you got to remember, he's going to switch onto another set of softs, which is then going to be fresh compared to Arnaud's then, I mean, semi-old mediums. They're not going to be really old, but they're going to be semi-old. So definitely a huge advantage there for Kyle in the latter stages. However, the gap isn't coming down, it seems. Everyone's setting fastest laps, obviously, as the track gets quicker and quicker. So I don't think we can keep up with the fastest lap at this point. Right now, it is in Baza's possession, 135.3. But yeah, this is going to get really, really interesting here. Corey already made it past Speed Newgarden, now up to P4. Indecisive Mac in the pit lane.
And a purple sector 1 for Corey as well. So he starts to reel in OKK.
Yeah, I mean, at this time, I think everyone's going to set purple sectors everywhere because the track is still drying and getting faster and faster, so everyone's getting faster and setting those purple sectors. It's going to be interesting once the track is fully dry and we're getting into those. Probably the one. What is the fastest time at 1:35? I have to say, it's quite surprising. 34.1.
1:34.1. There you go.
Yeah, it needs to come down quite a bit. I think. I reckon we can go.
On the back of OKK.
Yeah, I reckon we can still go down to 1:30s probably.
Easy.
The lap record around Silverstone here from last year was Lewis Hamilton with a 1:27.3 in the race. So I'd be surprised if we don't get to that sort of point, at least into the 1:29s probably. That's how slow this track still is. And there you go, Corey, 1:32. Obliterating the fastest lap by Okiki, just set a second before with a 1:33.8. 1.8 seconds. That is absolutely ridiculous. And at this point, I'm gonna have to call on someone, anyone, to find a nerf for Corey as he goes for the what looks like an easy overtake. Okiki just lets him by, just waves him by. Here you go, have the position, I don't care. Wow. And that on the mediums as well. I mean, wow. Corey just flies out there. 2 seconds faster than Arnaud on the last lap. We have a yellow flag in sector 2. That is
GT getting out of the way.
Yeah. That was for getting lapped. Let's show the gaps now. Okiki Corey 4.3 seconds behind Arnaud. The gap is coming down, and it's coming down very, very rapidly.
And Corey wonders why he can't get a race seat. It's because he's just far too quick for these guys.
Yeah. Wow.
He's putting on a show for us, certainly, as TC retires from the race.
Yeah, where did he retire? Is that in Maggots Beckett's chapel there? That is a car going slow. And the yellow flag as well. I think that, yeah, that is him. His car now pulling over to the left side. As Corey, wow! 31.3. Can anybody stop this man? 3.3 seconds now the gap to Arnaud. Remember, we talked about it last lap. It was 4 point something, 4.3. He gained a second a lap, I think. Let's check the fastest laps again. Yeah, he gained 1.8 seconds last lap on Arnaud. I mean, at this point, you got to think Corey probably went for some sort of dry setup, and that's why Arnaud got so close. Because Arnaud was on a wet setup, could hold up with Corey in the wet very well, did it in qualifying as well, and now that we got to dry conditions, all of a sudden Arnaud's nowhere. 1.8 seconds and Corey's just flying. This has to be the setup, right?
It's gotta be.
I mean, I don't see another explanation.
I just wonder if Arnold's going to put up any fight when Corey gets to him, because he will get to him. But if those two tangle, then Kyle will end up with a free pit stop, because if you look, that gap is now under 23 seconds. It's not the magic 26 that you said it needs to be. So Kyle may lose out here, but he should beat Paul when he comes out.
Yeah, he's going to be faster, obviously, once he makes it out of the pit lane or after his second stop with the fresh soft. So he might be on for a bit of a show there. Right now, he would already be good to overtake Okiki, but then again, Okiki also has to pit. We can't forget that Newgarden gets another 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he changes to another set of softs, I would assume. So that 5-second penalty will then be added to the end of his race, as he just did his second stop right there. It still says 1, but obviously he switched from the inters to the softs and now onto another set of softs. So he drops down the order. But yeah, this is going to get really interesting. So Corey, 1.8 now to Arnaud. Make it, 1.7 at this point. My goodness, 1.6. It's really going down every corner. That's unbelievable. And Kyle right now on pace to get a P3, which is going to be closer. Maybe actually P2. If he can, on those soft tires, challenge Arnaud towards the end of the race, he might be on for a P2 if he gets a really, really good last stint. And Arno's medium tires drop off a little bit as someone's going slow here. That is, I think, Indecisive Mac letting people by as he is getting lapped again for the second time now by the leaders, by Arno and Corey, as well as Okiki, who now goes into the pits and himself gets a 5-second penalty.
It's his second one as well, that is.
Yeah, and in the dry, I think it's inexcusable. In the wet, you always have at least the excuse of, well, it was wet, I braked where my dry braking point for the line was, you know. In the dry, you really have no excuse. I mean, at that point, you're setting yourself up for failure. And let's see where Okiki comes out. He was 27 seconds behind Kyle, I think, or 28. So add another 26 to that. He's behind MK Bourne. But I think just about... Oh, no, actually quite a bit behind MK Bourne. Wow. Did he have a front wing change as well? Because he lost that much time. I'm quite surprised. He lost about 34 seconds. That must have been a front wing change as well. No, it wasn't, because the end plate on the left side is still missing. How did he lose that much time? Or did he... Oh, maybe he served a 5-second penalty from earlier. That could be the case. Yeah, that could very well be the case. Then it makes sense. Back to Corey. On board. He's not going to try it here. No. And now the dirty air will affect him a little bit here. Obviously, he also gets the slipstream on the straight, so that should help. But yeah, it's only a matter of time at this point. The question is, as you said earlier, will Arno fight it or not?
I hope he does.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that lap time as well.
29. And that with dirty air. Oh, no, Arno goes defensive, or what? Yeah, he goes defensive into turn 3. Corey around the outside wants the cut back. Gets the cut back. Oh, it gets held up behind Arno. He can't find a way past. Arno going defensive immediately. And Corey doesn't even... Oh, does he send it here? He's on the inside now. Oh, we can look over. Look at that. Round the outside. He's holding it there, and he is passed. What an overtake from Corey. Fantastic move round the outside of Luffield. You don't see that every day. Corey just made it work. On the same tires, by the way. They're both on 5-lap old mediums. That is remarkable.
It's about now that Kyle should be thinking of pitting.
And he does. As you say that.
Hey,
Jekko,
it's like I planned it.
Yeah, I gotta say, you are a visionary.
Mm-hmm.
You are something else. But yeah, Kyle coming in now for his stop, and he will rejoin behind Corey and Arno. 22 seconds
Corey
the gap.
out of still fighting, by the way.
And he goes on to mediums. Interesting. Why does he not go on to softs? Is that a mistake?
I think it might be. That might have ruined his race.
Yeah, Kyle coming out now.
He's still putting a hell of a performance, by the way. He will come out ahead of Paul McGuinness. He should end up P3.
Easily. I mean, the gap's 6 seconds now to the guys in front, and the gap behind 18, almost 19 seconds. So, yeah. The P3, unless Kyle throws it away himself, I think the technical term for that is bottle it.
That's what the kids say, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the kids say, exactly. Us old folk try to, understand you young people out there. But yeah, unless he completely bottles it, then that P3 should be his at the end of the race. Meanwhile, MK Bourne comes in. He's going to drop down quite a lot of positions there, as Newgarden is going to make it past him. Yep, quite easily indeed. Franagamu gets a 3-second penalty. The penalties are going to play a role in this as well, but meanwhile, Arno didn't lose that much this lap. 1.1 now the gap. And, he's trying to stay close. Maybe... I have a working theory, okay?
Go on.
Thank you. Whenever you find a race driver to be behind another driver, they just get laser focus. It gives you, like, depending on the track, it gives you between 3/10 per lap and 6 or 7 tenths, obviously depending on the length of the track. Really, at Spa it's probably more like 7 tenths. At Austria it's probably more like 3 tenths. But it just makes you faster. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that you have an orientation as to where to brake. That you know your braking markers all of a sudden, you know, instead you're orienting yourself on the car ahead. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, whenever you find a car, whoa, Arnaud had to worry that. Who was that? Was that Mac or no? That was Frenagamo. Yeah. Oh boy.
Touching back on your theory, I'd have to say I agree with you. I remember my racing days. I always preferred chasing a driver rather than being in front.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had a reference point all the time, something to catch up to.
Yeah.
But when you've got nothing and you're on your own out front, not that happens very often, it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and not just that, obviously, if you're the guy in front and you're in a battle at the same time, you probably lose a bit of time as well, because you're looking backwards all the time, you're driving in the mirrors, and all of a sudden, hey, there you go, you miss your apex by a yard. Do you use yards or meters?
You start tensing up and
that as well. Yeah, all of a sudden you feel the pressure. Yeah, we're getting towards the Hamilton 127.3. If Corey goes faster than the actual lap record on this track, I don't know. But really, give this man a nerf of some sort. I don't know what. Give him like 50 kilograms extra, or something like that. I don't know. Just something to slow him down a bit, because this is outrageous.
In the top AOR tier.
Yeah. At that point, definitely deserved.
100%.
Yeah, 3 seconds now. Arnaud falling away.
Still a good performance for Arnaud. Of course, he won last night, and he's technically going to win tonight if you discount Corey. So he's very much looking for a race seat next season, much like everybody else in this field. The only team leader in this field is TC, but he's now retired. But he's one of the 5 drivers who'll be picking the drivers tomorrow night in the draft, along with Jordan, John, MK Bourne, and Pete.
There you go. But yeah, let's see. Kyle, I want to compare the lap times quick, so I'm going to just go into the race director very, very shortly here. Arnaud, last couple of laps, 28.9, 29.3. That was right behind 28.7 now, personal best in lap 22. Kyle, with the mediums, 28.6. So Arnaud, a little bit slower, but not much. Not enough, I would say, with 4 laps to go. The gap now about 6.5 seconds. It's not enough for Kyle to win P2 here, unless Arnaud has some sort of penalty, at which point, you know, it might work out. Let me actually check that. We can thankfully check that. So Corey, oh wow, what? Corey has penalties left, right, and center. 3-6. He served that. 9 seconds worth of penalties. So he might not actually win. Arnaud has 3-6, but he's also on 2 warnings, so he could get 9. Kyle has no warnings. Kyle is absolute. He might win.
Kyle is 9 seconds behind Corey as well.
Yeah, Kyle might win this on penalties. That's would
how
be
you make a statement.
Yeah, that would be amazing to see. In second sector, he is, well, about as consistent as he can be. Goes 1,000th of a second faster than his personal best. I mean, if that's not consistency, I don't know what is. I remember back in my day when I was racing on R Factor in 2006, 2007, was racing in a 24-hour Le Mans race and had the same lap time, 3 minutes something around Le Mans, 2 laps in a row. I was very proud of that. What actually won me a Fanatec wheel.
I was doing some time trial laps on Silverstone earlier, and Bahrain, I should say. And my personal best, which I set a few days ago, I then matched today exactly the same time.
Nice.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah. That's consistency right there. And Kyle shows a lot of it. He improved his personal best by 200ths of a second last lap. Now he's 2/10 down in the first sector. You know, we all make mistakes every now and again. But still, 9.2, it is so close. And he's on fresher tyres.
Of that.
Yeah. And Arnaud gets another penalty. So I think Arnaud at this point is probably out of that one. He's got 9 seconds as well now. So he's going to end up in P3 for sure. The question is, can Kyle get into scenario 7?
Kyle's inside.
Yeah,
Austin.
he's
just within 9 seconds.
8.9. We have it on screen right now, and he's out of it again because Corey used some more ERS on the straight, I think. But this is getting really tense here. This is getting really intense.
You forget this is only a test race as well.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? If we can get this sort of action, I don't care if it's a test race, a social race. I don't care. Just give me that right into my veins. 2 laps left to go. This is where scenario 7 comes into play for ART Kyle. If you've watched
5 seconds here and a single press there, what can Kyle do?
Yeah, if you watched the Styrian Grand Prix last week, you know what scenario 7 is. Kyle's in it, 8.8, 8.9. Oh, this is getting to the this is going to the line. There is a battle between Okiki and Baza. We're gonna look at that right now. They're side by side. Let's go on board with Okiki.
Wing damage.
Yeah, Baza is ahead. I think both have.
Both of them have wing damage. Yeah.
Remember, Okiki had wing damage coming out of the pit lane. Left side end plate was gone. Now the right side end plate is gone as well. So he's got effectively what probably is yellow damage on both on both sides of the front wing. Baza, unfortunately, I can't see right now. That is not a camera that I need right now. Can we please switch that? Broadcast. There we go. Yeah, left side end plate only, so he's slightly better in terms of front wing. Only 1 end plate instead of 2. Oh, Kyle must have made a mistake. The gap is now up to 9.4. Oh, that may have cost him. 1 more lap to go. He's coming through the final corner. 1 more lap for him and everyone in front. Corey, Arnaud. Oh, 9.3 as he crosses the line. This is going to get really intense. He's on the better tyre, but can he get 3 tenths?
He's got traffic. He's got Dom Smith in front of him.
Yeah, but that should give him DRS, though. Does he have the DRS?
Yeah. Oh,
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have the DRS. Oh, that is about as unfortunate as it gets. Dom Smith now moves out of the way. Gave him some slipstream. At least that. Gap now down to 9.2. Oh, this is getting really, really close. Who got the better exit out of Luffield there? I think it's Kyle. Slightly better. Uses overtake wherever he can. He's down to 5% on the ERS as well. Corey is down to 2%. They're using everything they have.
I wonder if they know what's at stake.
Yeah, Corey goes fastest in the middle sector. Purple in the middle sector. 0.03 of a second faster than his best so far. As he goes through Stowe. Gap now up 9.6. They both have pretty much nothing left in terms of ERS. Corey now around the final corner. He will take the victory on track. And it seems like he will also take the victory unless he's gotten another penalty. Oh no, a 5-second unserved penalty.
Oh.
This might be what Kyle needed. Arnaud goes ahead. He is ahead. Showed a lot more penalties. Kyle wins 5.7. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. He always was in control. Kyle wins the race on penalties by 5.7 seconds. What a race! That 5-second penalty to Corey, and then I think maybe another 3-second penalty he got that Arnaud didn't. I don't know what happened there, but Arnaud, I showed the race director to the viewers. You saw here 6 seconds, and he got another one 9 seconds. How much did Kyle get then? Oh, not Kyle, sorry, Corey get 3, 6, 9, 14.
17?
Oh, yeah, so 14 and maybe, yeah, this could be 17 then, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he got his first on lap 2, and that only showed as an invalidated lap time, not as a penalty in the race director. So 17 actually. My God. What a race. Kyle wins it. Arnaud second. Corey third. Paul McGuinness P4, Whiteout 5, Iceman 6, Bazza 7, MK Born 8. Wow.
That came alive, didn't it?
Yeah. That was a wild race right there. Whiteout, the driver of the day according to the game. Dexter P9, Okiki P10, Newgarden 11, Camo Barbo 12, Dom Smith 13, 1 lap down, Frenagamo P14, 1 lap down, and Indecisive Mac P15, 2 laps down, with TC and Risky being your non-finishers.
And with that race win and last night's pole as well in Austria, I think Kyle is very much going to be one of the drivers that could be looking at a full-time seat next year. Great performance over the last 2 nights. He'll find out tomorrow night if he's got a place in Season 2, along with the other, 31 drivers that are in the draft. But excellent stuff from Kyle. He did what he needed to do. Good drivers as well from Arnold and Corey. Paul McGuinness as well, fully expected to be in one of those seats. Whiteout, as you say, driver of the day, according to the game. Quiet race, I thought, but did very well.
Yeah, I mean, it takes quite a bit of skill to move up from P16 after completely screwing himself over in qualifying to P5 and on no penalties as well. Look at that. Kyle, Whiteout, and Dexter, the guys are no penalties. I think also that's something the 5 drivers who get to pick are going to look at. If you're able to steer clear of all the penalties, that means you are setting yourself up for better results, for better points, better everything. Obviously, it won't matter in the stage points, but for the final race result, yeah, penalties absolutely do matter. And we saw it right there. Kyle staying penalty free and getting the win over Corey and Arnaud, who we thought were, in terms of raw pace, they were absolutely flying. But slow and I want to say slow and steady, but slightly slower, minimally slower, and steady, much steadier, wins the race. So fantastic stuff here from Kyle. That is going to be it though for the test race around Britain here at the pre-season. Jacko, when is the draft?
The draft, sadly, it won't be live, but between now and tomorrow lunchtime, I will be speaking to the drivers, the 5 team leaders, that is, one by one, doing their picks, and then making a video, and then it will go live at 7 PM on this YouTube channel. It won't be live for the reason that we can't get all 6 of us together to do it live. But it's pretty much the same format, so
I see.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so 7 PM tomorrow is when the video goes live.
British summertime, UK.
Yeah. All right, good to know. So keep an eye out for that. With that, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thank you very much, Jacko, for joining me in the commentary booth and for having me in the first place.
Not to worry. Welcome back anytime, son.
Love to hear that. And with that, goodbye, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow for the draft and then for the first race of Jacko Car.